The 49ers got a star, and nobody seems to be talking about it. Nobody is rating it appropriately, in my humble opinion. Nobody appreciates it, and I'm going to tell you in this video why I think that they're wrong, why I think this guy's going to be awesome for the 49ers. Hit subscribe if you're looking for daily 49ers content. Appreciate all of you guys for jumping in. I got a question for you guys, though. What is your ceiling for the 49ers, for this 49ers team? Like, what is your win ceiling for this team? Young defense. Okay, so that maybe could contribute to some bad games or some bad finishes, whatever. But then you also have a strong core of players on both sides of the ball. You have a ton of experience, but you're also mixing in some genuine holes and training camp competition. So not every position is figured out yet. So there's some question marks for sure around this football team. But what is the ceiling for you? Is it 12 wins? Is it 13 wins? What's the ceiling for this 49ers team? Hopefully it's at least double digits. Otherwise, you and I probably don't see the same way. But that being said, Connor Orr and Albert Breer spoke for Sports Illustrated, I should say, and you're going to want to hear this. I'm going to start with an opening clip, and then we're going to get to the star that nobody noticed in the second clip later. But all of this is good. Every single aspect of these clips I've absolutely loved and found valuable, and I think we'll talk about it, break it down. Let's start with this first clip, kind of more generally talking about the 49ers roster.
I don't care about them shedding Deebo Samuel. I really don't. You've maintained the core of your roster. If you can get anything out of Brandon Aiyuk, we saw some good stuff out of Ricky Pearsall last year. I think this offense is ready to go, man. I think this team's winning the division and making the playoffs.
Yeah, I haven't made my picks, but they're definitely going to be in the mix to win the division. Like, I don't think that this is – I think this is the step back here was largely due to injury, and dealing with some of the things that they dealt with from an injury standpoint was not easy. Losing Christian McCaffrey, of course, losing Brandon Aiyuk. So offensively, as long as Trent Williams stays healthy, I think he's the real linchpin. I think they're going to be really good. And then defensively, you bring Robert Saleh back. You have Nick Bosa and 3 top 75 draft picks on the defensive line. You still have Fred Warner at linebacker. You still have Deommodore Lenoir at corner. It's like, I think they're a couple of young players away, a couple of young players developing away from maybe being back in the Super Bowl.
Whoa, maybe being back in the Super Bowl. A couple of young developed players away from maybe being back in the Super Bowl. So quick pause on this one. Let's just talk about that so far. Don't care about shedding Deebo. We've talked about that. Maintaining the core. We've talked about that. Offense is ready to go. That's always a bright thing to hear because I know how, in general, 49ers fans feel about the offense as it's developed under Kyle Shanahan. So I think most people feel pretty good in general about Kyle Shanahan's offense with guys in and out, different quarterbacks, whatever. The Kyle Shanahan has been able to make things happen even with different guys at the helm. But then Albert Breer talks about setbacks last year largely being down to injury. That's an opinion. Some of you, I've polled you before, so I know it. Some of you disagree with that and don't think that injury was the full story, or at least don't think it was the significant factor, that there were other significant factors, i.e. Nick Sorensen, things like that. So, okay, I won't bother going into the great details on that one. Trent Williams is the real determining factor, Albert Breer says there. Basically answering the question we talked about yesterday in terms of the X factor, who's that number one player who has the biggest impact. And Albert Breer basically gave his answer saying Trent Williams is the one. If he's healthy and he's playing well, everything's going to be working out okay for that offense. Talked about 3 top 75 draft picks on the defensive line, and then said a couple of young players developing away from maybe being back in the Super Bowl. And not just young players being rookies this season, actually talking about, if you listen to the full context, the whole podcast, he talks about really like young players, including guys who are going into their sophomore years, guys like Ricky Pearsall, for example. So anyway, that's a huge claim. I'm not going to go the route of like, is this a Super Bowl team? Because we did that a lot last year. We did that a ton last offseason, I feel like. In general, not we being me and you, but like in general, 49ers fans, 49ers reporters, 49ers journalists, like everybody was talking about Super Bowl team, Super Bowl or bust, that kind of stuff. So I'm not even going to bother going into that one today. Then Connor Orr went on and he said something I thought was very interesting, and I think it's going to make you feel really good about the free agent moves by the San Francisco 49ers. So let's go ahead and listen to him.
I think they did a really nice job this offseason of just dotting some of the I's and crossing some of the T's. Luke Farrell is a nice second option at tight end, and it gives them some versatility there. Demarcus Robinson is the big one, and I don't know if a lot of people are talking about this, but if you had talked to the McVay staff as he came up there, he was so polarizing because at the beginning, I think it was just like, okay, what's the deal here? By the end of his time in LA, he was incredibly valuable to that offense. Now you kind of get squeezed and you bring in someone like Devontae Adams, and you know where the target share is going to go. You have Puka Nacua. There's just not necessarily a lot of room there. But I don't see any reason why he can't ball out here, right? I mean,
okay, we're gonna pause, Connor, and let Albert Breer respond to that and kind of give his own fresh take on it. But I wanted to talk about Demarcus Robinson because this is a player, yes, it's possible he misses the first couple of games of the season. We won't worry about all that stuff right this second. But just in general, in terms of over the whole of the season, how good is Demarcus Robinson? How good was this pick? So I think personally that Demarcus Robinson is being majorly slept on. 9-year vet pushed out by Devontae Adams. There's no shame in getting pushed out of the team because there's not enough target share when you got a guy like Devontae Adams coming in. The guy had 31 receptions for 505 yards, averaging 16.3 yards per reception. That's sixth most last year among wide receivers, by the way. Sixth most yards per reception last year. We're going to talk about why that is in a second. He also got 7 touchdowns. He finished the year 18th most in touchdowns received on 31 receptions, you guys. He finished the year 18th most. So, okay, let's think about this. So, considering most of the 32 teams are playing some version of spread offense, most of these teams are doing 3 wide receiver sets. There's a lot of guys out there, a lot of mouths to feed. I actually looked it up. So, there were 98 wide receivers in PFF's rankings. So he ranks 85th out of 98 in receptions at 31, but ranks 18th in touchdowns. I'm going to say that again. He ranks 85th out of 98 wide receivers in total number of receptions, but ranks 18th out of 98 receivers in touchdowns with 7. The 49ers got a guy who can catch it when it matters in the end zone. He also ranked 3rd in the NFL last year, 3rd out of 98 in average depth of target. So this is a guy who can catch it deep. This is a guy who can catch it in the end zone. This is the guy that the 49ers are going to absolutely love, that Brock Purdy is going to love being able to target, in my opinion. Let me know in the comments if you disagree. Here's Albert Breer continuing on from this topic.
I mean, I don't know if that's an insane take, right?
No. I don't know. I mean, like, and then like even like a guy like Jacob Cowing in there, like I don't know. You still look at it and it's like people were talking about this team like it was like a ghost ship coming out of the offseason. It's like that's not the case at all. And I think the interesting thing too is like they did reset their cap, but because of the Purdy contract, like their cash spend is still like near the top of the league, So I don't know. If I were a Niners fan, I feel really good about this. I'm thinking like divisional round, right? Like would be a realistic, I don't know if I'd hang like you got to get back to the conference championship game like they did 3 times in 4 years, but I think divisional round is like a realistic like idea for them, a realistic goal where you say like if everybody stays healthy, like you should be there.
So the expectation for Albert Breer is that the 49ers should be going into the season saying we should make it to the divisional round. That's where we should make it. We should make it to the divisional round, and then we'll see what happens after that. That is, again, this is really positive news coming from a 6-11 team, coming from a team that lost a lot of players. Not a lot of consequential players, but players like Travis Ward 2 years ago. I did not want to see him go anywhere, right? Dre Greenlaw did not want to see him go anywhere. At times, Hufanga as well. There are also times where Hufanga made me very angry, but I'm getting into the weeds. The point is Albert Breer saying that the 49ers should be aiming sure, every team's aiming for the Super Bowl, but you get what I mean. They should be expecting, or maybe we should say 49ers fans should be expecting the 49ers to make it to the divisional round. That would be considered the baseline for a successful season this upcoming season. He did not stop there, though. Some other interesting stuff was said in the podcast, so I wanted to share one more clip that I think you'll enjoy. Give this a listen.
What if I put it to you this way? Because Robert Saleh's back, and I think is an emotional counterpoint to Kyle Shanahan, was probably the best mix that Kyle Shanahan ever had as a coach. Because Kyle's maybe a little bit drier on the personality side, whereas Saleh is like a powder keg of TNT when he's just free to coordinate and doesn't have to be bogged down by the absolute drudgery of being the head coach of the New York Jets. And I think that, let's say that relationship takes off again. Let's say that defense is pretty good. Let's say that Christian McCaffrey is all the way back, which you would kind of assume that he is because they didn't really draft a viable replacement until the 5th round, Jordan James.
Right.
So, and you have Isaac Orendo there, but there's not a lot there. And so I would assume that they are confident, or at least somewhat confident, in Christian McCaffrey's health. So let's say Trent Williams hangs on, Robert Saleh brings the juice, and Christian McCaffrey's Christian McCaffrey. This team is winning 11 games. I'm sorry, they are. They right? I mean, am I insane for saying
it's hard
this?
not to believe in them. Like, it's just,
easiest schedule in the NFL too.
I mean, and so many players that have been through it and have gone and have done it. And like, it's just, I don't know. I mean, like, I still think it's a really talented roster. And I trust that, John Lynch, Adam Peters, while he was still there, like, those guys got a lot of those picks right. And like, you're going to see like this harvesting of some young talent in the roster that maybe some other people don't see coming right now.
Who is that, by the way? Who is that young talent on the roster that nobody's going to see coming? And I'd love to know what that means. Even I'd love for Albert Breer to just like expand on that statement, because I don't know if he means guys that 49ers fans are well aware of, like Renardo Green, for example, or Dominic Pooney, or if he's talking about guys that not even 49ers fans are necessarily aware of, like Nair or Jordan Watkins or whoever. Like, I don't even know, like, who is he talking about? I would love to know. But just to recap, talks about Robert Saleh being free to coordinate, not in the drudgery of being the head coach of the New York Jets, just focused on that. We've talked about that before. I'm a big fan of that take. I'm a big fan of that reality. I think we're going to see it with Robert Saleh. Huge newfound energy, back to where he belongs, all of that good stuff. The team winning 11 games for sure. If everybody's healthy, I think that's a fair take, considering the schedule at the very least. At the very least, that makes a lot of sense just because of the schedule. If everybody's healthy, they should be winning those games. As I talked about at the very beginning of the video, and kind of alluded to the fact that there are some weird imbalances with this team, though. Young players are young players. Like, they're going to make mistakes. You're going to have games where, guys like CJ West or Mykel Williams don't have their best game, and that could be a problem at times. But then you've brought in other guys like Bryce Huff. Like, every time I go to convince myself, like, hey, don't get your hopes up too high, then I think of another reason why maybe my hopes should be high. There is a lot to be excited about with this football team, not even just talking about the young talent, but young talent you don't see coming. I love it. I can't wait for it. I hope that you are as hyped about it as I am. We're 9 days. We're in single digits to training camp, guys. I know it's rookies report, but whatever. It's single digits to training camp. I'm hyped on it. I can't believe it. It's finally here. We made it. We made it through the offseason. Let me know in the comments, as always, what you think. Appreciate you guys, and hope you guys are having a fantastic Sunday.